All right, we're live.
And we're back. What's up? What's up? What's up? Let's go. Let's go. I'm ready. Good topic today.
Yes, good.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on who you ask
Yeah. Well, yeah.
about whether
Yeah.
or not it's
Well,
good, or at least what we have to say
yeah.
is good. Well, I don't know what you have to say, but I have a lot to say, and
Don't get us in trouble. I think
people,
we stay in trouble.
yeah,
I think we stay in trouble.
people don't normally like it, but
Hmm.
we know that it is the month formerly known as June,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I
We
mean,
celebrate Father's Day in June.
true. It is also Men's Mental Health Awareness Month.
Is it May? No.
Yeah,
I think that was May.
no, that's June.
I thought mental health was May. Wasn't
People have
it?
been arguing about it all month. It's definitely June.
Mental health?
Men's mental
Oh,
health.
men's mental health.
Yeah,
I think the overall mental health was May.
probably.
Yeah, overall mental health was May. Okay. All right. And there's
Yeah,
something else in June also.
yeah. They call it Pride Month.
Pride Month. Interesting. Pride Month.
One of the seven deadly
Oh
sins,
goodness.
as
Okay.
they say.
So we're gonna talk about Pride Month, I guess. Or Pride?
Pride in general, I think
Yeah.
is good.
Okay. All right.
Not
All right.
necessarily the sin of pride, but I do think it actually ties in a little bit,
Okay.
and we can get into that in a second.
Yep.
But since you are the pastor here, I'm have to wonder how you handle something like Pride Month. Do people come for you about it, or do you even talk about the whole LGBT thing?
Actually, people don't come for me actually about it. They don't um I don't know. I guess people know my views on it, even though
What are your views on it?
I've how should I say this? I've matured. How about that?
Mm,
How about that? I've gotten uh better. And it came through um listening, learning, and not approaching things with the quote unquote church mindset.
okay.
If we can, church, we flat out, oh, that's wrong, that's this and that, blah, 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 and all that stuff. And I think what happens is a lot of times the church rate sins. That makes sense.
That makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, that's a 5. Ooh, that's a 7. You know what I'm saying? Oh, that's a 1. That's not too bad. That's pretty much depending on which way you ranking it, stuff like that. And it is what it is. I believe the Bible.
Okay.
So it's not about my opinion. It's not about my belief. It's about what the word of God says. Okay. Now, with that being said, I've approached things differently. At this point in life, who would have ever thought that like I said, I'm mature. Okay. Who would have ever thought that I would have some close friends? I know that's crazy, me being a pastor and all, but I have some close friends that's a part of the
LGBT alpha,
LGBTQ.
the alphabet
Yeah, throw
community.
Q on there too.
Well,
Uh,
you can. It's I think it's LGBTQIA
I don't know.
plus,
I don't
and
know. I don't know. You can't.
there's a two in there
I
somewhere
don't
at
know.
some point.
It keep changing, or adding more stuff to it. But a part of the community.
Hmm.
All right, part of the community. And there were times I've had some questions, and we've had some conversations. You know what I'm saying? So it helped me mature. And then one time, uh, one of my friends, he was having a conversation with someone, and God told me just pay attention and listen to what he's saying as he was talking to somebody. He was in an argument basically with somebody about the whole idea of whether or not you were born that way or it's a choice. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
God told me just to listen. And even in that, I just learned a lot. So my belief system and my views is the word of God. That's
Okay.
it.
Okay. So I have to press you a little bit on that,
I know you
just
was.
because I
I know you
know,
was. Here we go.
not because I don't know,
I
not
knew it was
because I don't
coming,
know how
y'all.
you feel. It's not
Yeah.
because I don't know how you feel,
Yeah.
but I can tell you how that is gonna come off.
Sure.
That is gonna come off as,
I'm endorsing it.
yep,
I knew
that's
it.
exactly
I
how it's
already
gonna
knew
come
it.
off.
I already knew it. I'm
So,
I already knew. I'm not endorsing anything. I don't even endorse businesses. You know what I'm saying?
true.
I don't even endorse businesses. what our church and they tell you, "No, our pastor don't even endorse businesses." So, to me, when you endorse stuff, that's like saying, "I'm putting my name behind it and it's good." You know what I'm saying?
Mhm,
But I don't endorse anything. Um, I treat, um, my friends, that's a part of the community, just like and I know I'm about to get in trouble in this, just like my friends that smoke weed,
mhm.
okay? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't agree with it, but I'm not about to fall out with you because that's what you do. Okay. I don't
Okay.
agree with it, but I'm not about to. Some of y'all saying, Pastor, what kind of friends you got? Well, the Bible say you make friends with mammon and you're supposed to, be friendly. You know what I'm saying? And just because I'm a pastor, that don't mean that I don't have friends that don't follow God. We just differ in certain things and they know which road I'm on.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So that being said,
Mhm.
so you don't endorse it,
Mhm.
but there are un whatever, unfortunately,
Mhm.
a growing number of pastors who do,
Sure.
and who will say that there's something wrong with you and that you are hateful if you don't. And
Mhm.
as a matter of fact, there's especially in the black church,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people would say that the black church and black church in general tends to be homophobic. Um, and I think there's a degree to which that's true.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
also,
And that's the
how,
problem. Now, go ahead. I'm gonna let you get that out, but I think that's the problem. But
but how do you
go ahead.
feel about affirming churches? Because here's my thing about affirming, and I'm not gonna say I got in trouble. This guy, like, he came for me on TikTok, but he blocked me before I couldn't respond because he's a coward.
Okay.
His name is his name is Kevin Carahan,
Oh my
and he is
goodness. Are
a
we saying names now?
coward.
Are we
He is
saying
a
names now?
spineless,
Oh boy.
nibbling coward. But
Is this when
anyway,
I talk over him so y'all don't hear that?
yeah, whatever.
But go ahead. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
put this on TikTok. Oh no, I was gonna say I'm gonna put this on TikTok and tag him, but I
Oh
can't
my
tag him
goodness.
because he blocked me because he's a coward. But anyway,
Wow. Okay.
anyway,
Okay.
people blocking me, but don't respond to me and then block me so I can't see your response.
Mm.
That's some weak stuff. But anyway, that's a different topic. Um,
But I would say the church was homophobic. I'm not gonna sit up here and do what one preacher did and go um apologize for everybody. Okay, I'm not gonna
mhm,
do that as far as apologizing to how the church handled things, but I will say, the church I have an issue with a lot of things the church did, and I think it was just done out of ignorance, didn't know better, thought this is how you handle things. Like, for example, I have a problem with the church when the church used to bring the girl, before the church because she got pregnant.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? She got pregnant, we bring her before the church, and now she gotta apologize to the whole church, right? And it's like, no. You know what I'm saying? If
yeah.
you're gonna bring her up, okay, where the dude at?
I
Okay?
agree.
You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Where's the dude at? Second of all, if you're going to do that, if you're going to bring her up for her sin, then every Sunday we need to be bringing folks up for whatever their sin is. And if we're going to do that, we will never get to the message.
That's true.
You see what I'm saying? Every
Yeah.
week, that's all we'll be doing is having people come up to the altar and apologizing for what they did. But when it's all said and done, the Bible talks about how when Jesus died, it covered our past, our present, and future sins. And I'm not giving nobody a license to sin, but who are we to have somebody come up and have to apologize to us
Mhm.
for what they did to God?
That's my thing.
You
Like,
see what I'm
it's
saying?
one thing to confess because, we're supposed to confess our faults one to another.
Sure.
But, there's a big difference between an apology and a confession.
And even with the confession should be one of those things like, I'm not coming to you like, Marcel, I need to confess. I robbed somebody yesterday. No, my confession should be, I got a problem.
Yeah.
This is what I did. You know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to understand. I need help in this area.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be one of them things. Hey, I robbed somebody yesterday. I'm good. No, your confession ought to be something where I need to get this thing worked out of me, resolve type of thing. So even with that, like I said, I have a problem with some of the things that the church has done anyway. When it comes down to I'm just gonna call it the community because I'm gonna mess the letters up and I don't want to be offensive. Okay.
Okay.
The community. Okay. Yes, there were some things that was done wrong, in my opinion. Well, we singled out what we didn't agree with. You know what I'm saying? This is their lifestyle, and we beat them with a bat, basically, as far as the church was concerned. But what about this other stuff that's going on uh, that God is not pleased with, and we didn't address that?
Yeah, that's true. I agree.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, but now, um, 2025 is different. It's different, where you've got some pastors as a part of the community. First gentleman instead of first lady.
Yeah.
First gentleman, all kinds of stuff. I saw some stuff on social media where a whole dude was leading praise and worship. I guess he was in a dress. Then somebody was off to the side. I don't know if you saw that or
I
whatnot.
haven't seen that, but
Yeah,
oh my god.
dude. Yeah, yeah. Another dude had like a big old hat, like that a woman would wear, and he was singing off to the side. And it's like things are different. The question is, well, the wine. This question is, um, the question is God pleased with this?
Well, that's actually what I wanted to that's actually what I was getting at,
Yeah,
because there's a whole thing, and I agree that we shouldn't be singling out sin
right.
or anything like that, but it's been taken to a whole new level where now you have churches that call themselves affirming. And my problem with, like, affirming,
Define affirming.
what
Define it when you say affirming.
basically not
Endorsing?
yes,
Okay, in it.
like I affirm, um, like, hmm, I'm trying to think of a way to use the word affirm. Like,
Okay in it.
yeah, basically that's what, like, affirming. As a matter of fact, this is what I was getting at.
Mhm.
To affirm something is the opposite of to deny it.
Okay.
Like if you say, "Oh, I heard you had bad vision," and I was like, "Oh, I can affirm that,"
Mhm. Yeah,
because, like, it's true.
yeah.
And so it's the opposite of denying, and that's my problem, because you take this thing that the Bible clearly says is sinful,
Mhm.
and you are affirming it because you you don't want people you basically don't want people to feel bad. You want to be progressive.
Sure.
But the whole problem with affirming is, like I said, affirming is the opposite of denying.
Yeah.
And Jesus said, if you're gonna come to me, you're supposed to deny yourself.
Yeah.
So if you have
Yeah.
this part of yourself that God is not pleased with, and you're not only refusing to deny it, but you're affirming it, that seems anti-God to me. And but if you say that, they will say that you are hateful and that you are pushing people away from God.
Mhm.
So like how do you address the affirming churches and the affirming pastor?
One, okay. Me personally, I'm not going to address the affirming pastor. And when I say I'm not gonna address him because I'm not his bishop, I'm not his apostle, you know what I'm saying? I'm not over him, but that's something he has to give an account to God for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As pastors, part of our part of our assignment, the Bible talks about, for the perfecting of the saints. Matter of fact, over what is that, Ephesians?
Uh-huh.
Is this first time I'm going to the Holy Scriptures
In this year, I
in
think
this
so.
segment? Let me
Well, there
go
was
there.
that one time I looked something up because I thought Paul had said it and it turned out Jesus had said it.
Yeah, remember? Yep, 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 yep. So I just want to read this real quick. Um,
It was Ephesians 4.
yeah, this phone is acting up, but we're gonna get there. Sorry. Um, all right, Ephesians. What is this thing doing? For. All right. It says this. And he gave some apostles and some prophets and some evangelists, some pastors and teachers. For what? For the perfecting of the saints, right? For the work of the ministry, for the edifying of the body of Christ. Till we all come into the unity of the faith and the knowledge of the Son of God, unto a perfect man, unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of God. So part of this is saying, it's for the perfecting of the saints. Okay, that means people are coming in here one way, and one of the things we have to do is to help them uh strive and correct things in their life.
Mhm.
Okay, we're living in a time where people won't feel good churches when they leave on Sunday, Saturday, whichever day you go to church. People are looking for a church where when they leave, I feel good. Well, you
Mhm.
shouldn't. I'm gonna say you should feel good that you've been corrected. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, wow, I didn't realize I was doing that. I feel better now that I know this is where I was missing it at. Now that I know better, I need to do better. It should be that type of feel good. You know what I'm saying? But people want to go to church and feel good as if I'm good the way I am. No, it ought to be some correction. So across the board, if there's anything that's being done that's not pleasing to God, we all have to examine ourselves and fix it. You know, my stance is, and I know some people might be saying, well, Pastor, we just want you to go there and say it. Well, the thing is, I look at sin as sin across the board. Like I said, I don't view my homosexual friends no different than my friends, watch this, that's doing things I don't agree with. I don't agree with them smoking weed. I don't agree with them drinking. I don't agree with them fornicating. But yet, I'm not going to treat them different as a person. Does that make sense? You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I'm still treating them as a person because I think part of the problem where we miss it at, I was just having a conversation with somebody the other day, just dealing with this. We spend too much time when it comes down to the homosexual community trying to clean them up. Okay. And it's
Mhm.
like, no, how about you catch the fish first and then let Jesus clean them up? We spend more time trying to clean them up. And it's like, this person never accepted Jesus. You
Mhm.
you see what I'm saying? And you're giving them this Bible, beating them over the head, and it's like, they never accepted Jesus as their Lord and Savior.
And you know what? Oh, I
Yeah,
had I saw something like that
yeah.
recently.
Mhm,
There was somebody online, I believe it was on TikTok, who they were not a follower of Jesus.
mhm.
But they had been having, I think they were having night terrors or something. And
Have a who?
like night terrors or something like sleep paralysis or
Oh,
like
okay,
just
okay, okay.
like like horrible things that were happening when they
Sure.
were asleep. And I think somehow they started looking into Christianity
Mm,
and people, but they were gay.
okay.
So this person, they were posting about it, and a bunch of Christians, and I'm putting that in quotes, came into their comments talking about like, oh, you trying to look for Jesus, but you gay, that type of thing.
See,
And somebody
see,
and somebody has seen it.
see.
It's like, okay, so this was somebody.
Mm-mm.
Now you've pushed this person away.
Exactly. And what's been happening, the devil is sitting back loving this because what's almost taking place is almost like the church versus the community.
Yep,
You see what I'm saying? Like almost this Bloods and Crips. And it's like, no, that's not how this is supposed to be. But the enemy has allowed this to creep in. And if anybody need to be in church, okay, I'm probably get in trouble. It is the community.
well, yeah, it's not the healthy who need a doctor,
Hey,
like you
come on,
said.
there you go. There you go. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, come to church. You know what I'm saying? Just like the same person that's on crack, the same one that's on cocaine, the same one that's doing smoking weed, the same one that's drinking, the same one that's fornicating. If you doing anything, if you breathing, you need to be in church.
Yep,
So why do we sit up here and do that? You know what I'm saying? We sit back and we focus on their sin like, no, they just need Jesus. And that whole argument about whether or not they were born this way. You know what? Let's just stop. Bottom line is they need to be born again.
exactly,
Let's just go there. If you're born that way, you just need to be born again. All this back and forth and all this stuff, you just need Jesus and let Jesus do the rest.
hmm. So a little, and I'm not pushing back on anything you said. I agree
No,
with
you good.
everything you
Let's do this.
said.
Let's do this. That's why we're here. It's the black table.
A little bit of challenge. So
Let's
I
go.
actually
Let's
got
get
a,
it.
a couple of them.
Yeah. Plus, I got a
One,
testimony too.
yeah,
Yeah.
people would say to what you're saying now, that's all well and good saying they need to be born again and
Sure.
stuff. But at the end of the day, you have a lot of people who struggle with same sex attraction, and they will come to church, and they will do what they used to say, pray the gay away,
Ah.
and they're like, I've been doing this for years,
Yeah.
and I still feel this way.
Sure.
So what would you say? Because I have a really big hot take on that, but I
Yeah.
want to know what you think about it. What would you say to those people?
I would say this, it's a deliverance issue, okay? And we can see throughout in the Bible, everybody didn't get healed or delivered the same way, okay? And so when I say a deliverance issue, no, it may not happen overnight. I don't think, and I'm just saying, okay, you come to the altar, we lay hands. Ooh, ram ba 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 ba, shan ba ba. We get the oil, get the super soaker, get some Crisco, whatever we got to do. Put all the
Do I need
oil
to
on
bite
the
them? Do
person.
I need to bite them with their oil squirting
No,
thing?
my goodness. We can do all of that, right? Because we came up in church. I remember we looked at our hands and our hands looked new. Looked at my feet and my feet did too. Well, I looked at my hand and had the same scar there.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, yeah, I still got the same chicken McNugget grease from McDonald's when the grease popped up and got me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, I got saved, but now what? So it's like you got to start the journey. Is the attraction still gonna be there? Yeah. Okay. But you got to start the journey of deliverance. You know what I'm saying? Now,
Right.
can
Yeah.
God do it just like that? Sure, he can.
Uh-huh.
Sure, he can do it just like that. But watch this. In some cases, I'm just saying it like this. The Bible says this, and Jesus said it a lot. It's according to your faith.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Now, it's based on you, but that's across the board. Some people in financial situations. Guess what? It's according to your faith. It's about what you're doing. You believe in God for better finances? How about you try this thing called a job? Oh, I ain't getting no job. I'm just gonna believe God. Okay, let's see how this work out. So you got to take the necessary steps. If the person really wants to be delivered, I'm not gonna say your attraction to the same sex is just gonna be gone immediately. It might.
Good.
It could. I don't put limits on God. I don't put God in a box.
I am delivered.
He can take the taste. He can take the thirst. He can take the attraction away just like that. He can. That's the God we serve. Then in some cases, some people, it may take a little bit of time. For example, just like when you get saved, I like to use this walk like like a thermostat. It's not like a light switch you flip it on and off,
Hmm.
but the thermostat you set it, okay, and eventually it's going to get there. So if you keep getting in the Word of God, you keep spending time with God, then eventually there, just like with healing. Eventually, guess what? A change is going to take place.
Hmm.
So that's my take on it. You know what I'm saying? But you know, um, they might still have that. Just like when somebody come to the altar, right? You pray for them, they may have a pain in their shoulder. They may walk away with that same pain in their shoulder, but their faith is there.
Hmm.
So I look at it the same way.
Yeah, and honestly, just to add to that, I think, and this is my hot take, my
Gotcha.
my nuclear take,
Mhm.
the N word, nuclear. Have you
Okay.
seen that?
No.
Trump said that.
Oh
He
goodness.
was like, it could have been the N word, nuclear. Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, okay, the N bomb. But anyway, uh,
Okay.
this is the nuclear take. Um, Jesus had said, like, I think the attraction is still going to be there.
Mhm.
In some cases, it can, like, look at, for example, somebody like what's her name, Jackie Hill Perry.
Okay.
That she used to be a part of that community. Now she's married. She's not in that anymore.
Okay.
I know some, but I know some people who were also a part of the community and they got saved. And they're like, you know, am I going to, like, say it was a gay man and he's like, am I gonna go and get a girlfriend or something like that?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Right.
Like, still attracted to dudes,
Right.
still feel it.
Sure.
And this is what a lot of people will and I hate it because people who do walk away from that and
Uh-huh.
put their trust in God, they get a lot of hate. They
Really?
get oh yeah, they get a lot of hate from the community.
Wow.
From that's what I call them, the alphabet mafia. Because they will come, no, they will. Obviously not all of them, but
Sure.
like the activists,
Sure. Sure.
they will come after you because, well, you're going against the narrative. But this is something that Jesus said, and he was talking about, when he was talking about divorce,
Okay.
and the disciples, and this is how shows you kind of how I don't want to say depraved, but how kind of out of it they were sometimes.
Yeah.
When he said that if you you divorce this, that. And they said, instead of saying, okay, we get it, they said, well, in that case, it's better to not get married at all. And he was like, wow, okay. But he had said the funny part is his response to that was, you're right.
Mm.
If you can't handle this, it might be better for you to not get married at all.
Mm.
That's what he said. He said that some people are born eunuchs, some people are made eunuchs,
Yeah.
and some people make themselves eunuchs in the case of for the sake of the kingdom.
Mm.
So and I don't think when he was saying that people make themselves eunuchs that they're like literally cutting stuff off,
Right.
but that there are some people who do say it's better for me to not be married for the sake of the kingdom. And Paul said the same thing. He said he wishes that everybody was like him when they were asking,
That
is it
ain't my
right to touch a
anointing.
woman?
Sorry, Paul. It's not
Yeah,
my
I said
anointing.
that
Not
same
my,
thing. I was like, I know you wish everybody was like you, but
I'm getting it done next month, y'all. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm getting married next month. I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah. Uh, but Paul has said it. He said,
yeah,
I wish everybody, but even he knew. He said, I wish everybody could be like me, but you guys can't handle it.
right, right.
That's a special. I think that's a special anointing.
It is. It's certain
I think it
things I
is.
look at as special anointing. That's one of them right there. Children's ministry.
Oh,
I think that's a special
I agree. I agree
driving the
wholeheartedly.
church bus. I think that's a special anointing. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
just certain things or whatever. But praise God.
But that's the thing. There are people who say, like, oh, you're still going to have that attraction. And you may have that attraction. I
Yeah.
think it is possible. It is very possible for you to have that for the rest of your life. And some people will say, I don't think it always happens, but I think it's possible. And some people will say, like, what am I supposed to do? I'm just supposed to basically be celibate for the rest of my life. And the answer is maybe.
Well, these are the things you got to go and this is when you got to really spend some time with God about those things. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? This is why you have the Holy Spirit that brings the power.
Yeah, and I
That's a
was
whole
gonna
nother
say that,
issue. You know
like,
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
that's what I was gonna say. If that is what you have to do, part of having faith is trusting that God is going to give you the grace to be able to do that.
Hmm. If that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, if it's what you're supposed to do. I'm
Right.
not, and it's definitely again, it's like it's a special anointing.
Yeah.
It's not everybody that can do that, but it's like it's hard to say. And that's why I said it's a hot take because
Sure.
some people really really don't like that. But at the end of the day, it's if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off. Jesus was when he talked about going away from sin, he was really, really harsh about it.
Hmm.
If your right hand is causing you sin, cut your hand off. He
Yeah.
told people to, and not literally, but in a sense, almost literally.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you do have to cut your hand off if
Yeah.
it's causing you to sin. You do have to tear your eyes out. And he said if you're going to follow him, you have to take up your cross.
Yeah.
Taking up your cross,
The
the
cross ain't
imagery,
easy.
yeah, the
For
imagery
some
of
reason,
that
people
is
think the
not.
cross is easy.
Yeah, what he said, he's not talking about the little cross you wear around your neck.
I don't even, that's a whole nother conversation. People wear the crosses. People have keychains with crosses. Do we really know what that represents? That's not easy.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? It's not a trophy.
It's a torture device.
Yes. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all know what this really represents?
Yeah.
This is death. You know what I'm saying? Somebody
Uh,
died here when people say, "Gee, Lord, keep me near the cross." What? No, 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 no. I want to be, at the right hand of the Father. You know what I'm saying? The
yeah.
greatest murder took place. Death, torture. No, I don't want to be there. But when you was just saying that about Paul, Paul also made a statement about how he went to God about something. He said he prayed about this thing 3 times.
Mhm.
And he said it was a thorn in not his spirit, his
It's
flesh.
flesh.
And he said he asked God to remove it. And God said, my grace. That means God will grace you. See, the thing is, what we got to stop doing is when we change, we'll sit back and say, so I got to be like this the rest of my life. How about you just focus on today?
That's a good point.
You see what I'm saying? Because you're
Yeah.
making it harder. You don't even know how long the rest of your life gonna be. How about you just focus right now on the moment, on the time, and let God handle the rest. So if his grace is sufficient, that means his favor is sufficient. And if you handle this right, you don't know what's behind this curtain.
True.
You see what I'm saying?
That's true. Yeah.
So, but I want to give a quick testimony about something that just happened to me this week, a couple
Okay.
days ago,
Okay.
concerning this. if we got time. Can I do it?
We got plenty of time. We only
All right,
30 minutes in.
cool. So what happened, for those that don't know, I'm getting married soon, okay? And it's a destination wedding. Destination, that means we gonna be somewhere. And a friend of mine, let me back up on the story, okay? Because how I used to be, a friend of mine years ago came out, right?
Mhm.
And we was all crew, a bunch of us, a bunch of guys, we were all crew. And one of the guys in the crew came out. I was the last one to know.
Oh, dang.
I was the last one to find out.
Tells you something.
Yeah, I was the last one to find out. So when everybody was talking, people was like, "Well, you didn't know?" And it was like, "Yeah, he already came out." I said, "Well, why he ain't say nothing to me?" Now, mind you, I'm the preacher. Why he ain't say nothing to me? And so one of the guys from the crew said, "Because he knows how you are." You talking about condemnation hitting me?
Dang.
He said, "Because he knows how you are." Here's somebody that was a very good friend of mine, close friend of mine, was like a brother to me. Whatever, he went left field. I don't wanna say left field. He came out, I'm sorry.
Uh-huh.
He came out. I'm getting better, y'all. He came out. He came out, but he couldn't come to me and say nothing. Can you imagine how that feels as a minister when people can't come to you with an issue because they know how you are?
Mhm.
He didn't come to me and say, "Hey, Rev, I wanna talk to you about something." He didn't come to me and even ask me to pray for him, okay? Because I represented the old church mindset, so he didn't even come to me. And I felt bad. Like, he went to all the other friends, and most of them were heathens. He felt comfortable telling them before he can come and talk to me, and I'm like, "What in the world?" So recently, a couple years ago, I ran into him, and, he eventually told me, and I said, "Oh, okay, okay." And I met his partner. "Oh, okay." I struggled, just on some real talk, because most of the times, you know what I'm saying, when somebody meets somebody, you wanna say, "I'm happy for you, congratulations," all that stuff, and it was just awkward for me.
I bet.
I
Yeah.
didn't really know how to respond. That was the first time I ever dealt with that, and it was just like, "Oh, okay, okay." Met his partner, dapped him up, "What's up, man?" Blah, blah, blah. It is what it is. That's okay. Before I get in trouble, I know some folks, "Why you ain't pray for him? Why you ain't start?" No, 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 I wasn't led to even go there. God already knew. Just let that marinate, okay? So, with that being said, he's coming to, my wedding. So we were texting, right?
Uh-huh.
And I asked him, was he still coming? Because it's a destination. And he said, yes, that's the plan. He's trying to get his flight worked out on which days and all this stuff, whatever. So then I text him, and I was only asking for number wise. Okay. Number wise. Asked him, was his partner coming? I said, the guy's name. Was he coming?
Mhm.
And I asked him another question. Well, he answered the other questions, but he did not answer about his partner coming, you know? And I just said, "Oh, okay, cool." And as I was driving later on that day, literally, I'm hearing God saying to me, telling me, he didn't answer the question because he's feeling a certain type of way about what you asked. And I was only asking for number
Yeah.
sake. And he probably was thinking, I don't want your partner coming. You see what I'm saying? Because I asked the question, was he coming?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And so I reached back out to him and I said this, and I'm probably gonna get in trouble for this. I stay in trouble with the preacher council anyway. I said, "Hey," and I said, "Is such?" I said, "Nope." I said, "Hopefully, such and such is coming with you." Right? I know I'm gonna get in trouble for that. And I said, "He cool, right?"
Mhm.
I said, "Hopefully he's coming." And then he said, "Yes," and then put the whether it's the praying hands or the high fiving hands or whatever, and basically was like, "Yes, thank." So apparently he was feeling a certain type of way, like he go Terry tripping on my lifestyle, like, okay, I can come, but I can't bring my friend, right? I'm trying to be PG or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And it was like, no, because at the same time, and I know some of y'all might be saying, well, why are you gonna let them come? Because I know there's some other people that's coming that's not married, man and woman.
Mm, we
So
talked about
you
that.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So how do we say this is wrong, but this is okay?
Uh-huh.
If that makes sense.
That
Because
doesn't make
this
sense to
man and
me.
woman that I know that's coming, they're not married, but they're coming. I know I'm about to get in trouble with that. I wish I could see the comments now. What kind of pastor is that? What kind of reverend is that? Let me tell you something. When it's all said and done, everybody that was around Jesus wasn't saved either. Okay. And no, I'm not saying hang out with the heathens and all this stuff. But what I will say is these are still souls. Okay. So now when it comes down to it, watch this. There definitely needs to be a strategy on how to get them to Jesus. And I think a lot of times what we would have done in the past, you can come, but they can't come. You can come, but they can't come. And I just think sometimes we've handled things differently. But I felt better. I felt better just to let him know. Because I was thinking for number wise, like we can only have so many people there. I wasn't thinking the whole community thing
Yeah.
where I was asking, like, because I don't want him to be there. It was just more or less a number wise. But it was like, okay, God was saying to me, because I'm like, he never did answer the question if the guy was coming. And God basically was telling me, probably thinking that you don't want him coming, and I'm like, well, hopefully you bring such and such. He seemed like a cool dude. Left it at that. The comments are blowing up now.
Yeah. I mean, you never know nowadays.
The comments are blowing up now.
You'll get lots and lots of folks
Oh yeah,
saying that honestly saying that you're not progressive enough
probably,
because
probably,
you should be celebrating.
right, probably.
That's what you should be
I should
doing.
have celebrated. Yeah, I should have been celebrating them and all that. But you know what? I remember this, and this is what my mother taught me. She used to say this: if you don't have enough for everybody, you, my mother used to say this. I'm sorry, I got so comfortable. She used to say, if you don't have enough for everybody, then don't do it at all.
I
So
agree.
my thing is, if you're going to, because let's call it what it is. Some people, because we can't control people, right?
Mhm.
But some people are going to come to the wedding, you know, and some of them are going to go when the wedding is over with, or even before the wedding starts. They're gonna live their life. So what am I
Mhm.
gonna say? You know what I'm saying? Like we pick and choose which sins we tolerate.
Yeah,
I think that's what it is. We pick and choose what sins we tolerate, and I think that's part of the problem.
it is. And you know what? I think it's a slippery slope.
It
Not
is. It
just
is.
in really not just in the church, but in society in general. This is something I've been thinking about for a long time. It's obviously being a oh, this is a podcast.
Here we go.
Um,
Here we go.
obviously being a pedophile is a very, very bad thing. I'm not saying I'm going somewhere with this. I'm
I'm
going
about to
somewhere
say,
with this.
wait,
I'm not saying that
wait.
I'm not
Relax.
saying that they're pedophiles. That's not what I'm saying.
Whoa. Okay.
I'm
Okay.
going somewhere with this.
Okay. Okay.
Obviously it's a really, really bad, horrible thing.
Sure.
But society, especially lately, has like made that like the thing. Like you're better off being a serial killer
Yeah.
than somebody who which makes sense.
Yeah.
But I do think some of the backlash that comes against that isn't just people wanting to protect kids,
Yeah.
but some of it is it's sort of become like in the world
Yeah.
the only sexual sin that's bad.
Right. Right.
Like
Right.
and because everything else is okay, all of the moral outrage goes to this one, which again is horrible,
Yeah.
absolutely horrible thing.
Yeah.
Wood chippers all around. I'm all for it, but I'm
Wood. Okay. All right.
like put them in a wood chipper.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm all for it.
Okay.
Don't get me
That's a
started.
major death penalty, but okay.
Oh, don't get me started on the
Yeah.
death
Yeah.
penalty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me just say I don't think the Old Testament was all that harsh. But
Yeah.
anyway, um, oh, this is a bad topic to say that on. That's not what I was talking about. I
Yeah.
was actually thinking about the verse where it's talking about like rebellious sons. Like your son is like he's a glutton and a drunkard and he's horrible.
Oh.
And I'm like, have you seen what some of the YNs are doing? I
Ooh,
think some I think a stoning would have prevented some of these things, but
yeah.
that's just me being insane. But anyway.
I think I look at it like this, okay? And I'm going there for a minute because as you was talking, I'm thinking, what would be more? I don't want to say worse, but how can I'm just gonna say it. What more would you have a problem with? Do you have more of a problem with these two men that's together, right?
Mhm.
Or this issue where this man is beating his wife?
Beating the wife is probably
Yeah,
worse.
but guess what? We've accepted that in the church.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? Well, we know there were situations, you know, going on in certain marriages and stuff like that, and yet maybe that guy still led devotion.
Yeah.
That guy still preached that Sunday and stuff like that. But yet, when it come down to these two men being together, and it's like, okay,
But that's kinda what I was getting at.
mhm,
It's that before, if it was 2 people in the church and they was not married and they were sleeping together, you would either force them to get married
mhm,
or you would be all over that.
mhm,
But it almost seems like slowly as it's just become more acceptable in society,
yeah. it's
it's just become like a thing in the church. Like this couple together.
But see, that's the problem, man.
I
Go ahead,
know.
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Actually, now that I think about it, I haven't talked about this. I don't
Oh
even know
boy,
if I've talked to you about
oh boy. Okay,
years and years ago when I was with someone I wanted to marry. Thank God I didn't. I think
you still owe me
I
$1 million.
know that.
You owe me 1 million. Okay.
I know. And I genuinely think, and I'm not exaggerating.
Always listen to your pastor, people. Go ahead.
I am not exaggerating. I genuinely think that if I had married her, I would be dead. I don't think I would be alive right now. So serious. But anyway,
Probably,
so
probably.
with that, um, but you probably remember we were living together
Mhm.
and you was like, y'all need to not do that.
Yep.
So me trying to do the right thing,
Mhm.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna go out. We were having this apartment. I'm still paying the rent at this apartment that I'm not staying at anymore.
Right.
I'm like, you stay here, I'll still pay the rent, still pay the bills. We just do this until we get married, and then everything will be fine.
Mhm.
She was not going for it. You would have thought it was the utmost betrayal. I was wrong. You were wrong.
Right.
It was all horrible.
Right.
And that was the beginning of the end. Again, thank God, because I think I'd be dead. And I never would have met my loving,
Hey.
amazing wife that I have now,
Hey.
who is not
Reason.
insane.
Reasons that way. Okay.
But I say all that to say, um, there are many, there are
Yeah.
many, many churches um, now where that sort of just almost become the norm. And I think when it's become the norm,
Yeah.
we will take we will take the things that aren't still the norm and the indignation we have against those things kind of gets ramped up.
Mhm.
So it's like it was 50% toward fornication, 50% to homosexuality.
Mhm.
Now it's only like 20% to fornication. So now it's 80% to homosexuality.
Yeah.
That type of thing. And also it's really, really easy to rail against sins that you're not committing.
That's good. That's good.
But
That's good right there. As far as beating people up, because that might not be yours. You know what I'm saying?
uh-huh.
Hey, hey, don't mess with my yak now. Don't mess with my Hennessy.
Mm-hmm.
Don't mess with this. Now we gonna talk about that. That's wrong. They wrong for that. But it's like, wait a minute. What about you know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
But that reminds me of one time a friend of mine.
Oh, real quick.
Go
I'm,
ahead.
I'm sorry. I just thought of a killer analogy. Need to throw this one in a sermon because remember when Jesus had said that to take the beam out of your own eye before
Sure.
you take
Yep.
and he said
That's
you
it.
need to take it out of
That's
your
it.
eye
That's it.
so that you can see clearly.
That's it.
So and that's like take care of your sin before you take care of the other person's sin. But there's in a way because you still have this huge beam in your eye,
Yeah.
but there's this one spot where you don't have a beam in your eye, you can see clearly there.
Yeah.
So it's easy. See, I'm struggling with, I got a gambling addiction. I hate my wife. I'm committing adultery. I'm doing all these things, but I'm not gay.
Right, right,
So
right, 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 right,
that's the sin
right.
I can see clearly. That's the spot of my eye. That's
Yeah,
not completely full of wood.
yeah.
So I'm just gonna hold it. It's almost like what's that disease? Macular degeneration. When you get it's like a black spot in your eye and it grows and grows
Okay.
to a point where
I don't
like
know the name of it.
yeah, it was like when you
Yeah,
become legally blind.
yeah.
And so like there's some people like they have that and they can only see like out of the corner of their eye. So
Oh.
it's like, okay, like I can't see nothing else, but out of the corner of my eye, see these two dudes hugging each other. So
Mhm,
I'm just gonna go against them.
mhm,
And that's kind of what it is.
mhm. Yeah.
It's another reason why you gotta get those why you gotta oh, I think I'm cooking right now, actually.
Go
It's
ahead,
another
cook.
reason why
Cook,
you
sir.
gotta get those
Cook,
why you have to get
cook.
that beam out of your eye.
Come on.
Because
Come on,
your
Rev.
brother does still have a splinter in his eye. That
Uh-huh.
needs to get out.
Yes, sir.
It's not okay that he has a splinter in his eye just because
Uh-huh.
you have a beam in your eye.
Yeah.
So you need if you don't get that out of your eye, you won't see the
Mhm,
splinter in his eye.
mhm.
So you're not seeing all of this other stuff that's going on because you have so much mess going on with you. Not to
Well,
mention, if you call out the sins that so many people, if half of your church is committing adultery and 10% of
mm.
them are gay, and you
Wow.
call out the people who are committing adultery and they leave, you just lost 50% of your tithes. But
Ooh.
we're not gonna we're not gonna get too far into that. But that's the thing. It's
Yeah,
easy. It's easier to call out the sins that you're not committing, and
yeah,
because this is by definition a small part of the population.
yeah,
Of course you're gonna go after that.
yeah, yeah,
And the thing is, it's not even saying that you shouldn't call it out because again, you shouldn't be like I'm not for the affirming stuff. I'm not
yeah,
affirming anybody's sin of any kind.
yeah.
Just like if the you take the A in the LGBTQIA and replace asexual with because obviously being asexual isn't a sin, but replace asexual with adulterers.
Mhm,
I'm not gonna say, oh, I mean, you can do whatever you want
mhm.
because that's not cool. And by the way, if it's consensual, it's still adultery. So
Right,
that open relationship stuff, no.
right,
But that's
right.
but that's the kind of thing that people are saying are good
Yeah,
and are holy.
yeah.
But yeah, I gotta well, I got one more challenge for you before we wrap it up, but you were about to say something.
No,
What
I
was
was
that?
gonna say how I remember years ago, a friend of mine, we were in the barber shop. He was drinking a 40. Y'all
Mhm.
saying, Pastor, what kind of friends you got? Good material. Good material. But he was drinking his 40 and the news was on. And I think it was a pedophile situation. And he sat back and said, man, you know he going to hell. And I know some people saying, and I'm not gonna get into this argument, people may say about the drinking and all that. Some people, Jesus turned water into wine. Okay, we ain't gonna get off into that. We talking about some malt liquor right now. Malt liquor. Okay. He was drinking old English.
And somebody, I mean, the thing
Yeah,
is, it's about drunkenness, but something
yeah,
tells me if you're drinking 40 ounces of malt liquor in the middle of the day,
yeah.
you might have a
We might have a problem.
problem.
Yeah, yeah. Which he ended up doing. He actually had a problem, and unfortunately, he's not with us anymore because of that.
Jeez.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So he's not here with us because of that, you know. But it was just ironic how he was trying to say this when it's like, you know. And the thing is, I'm gonna sit up here and I'm gonna say this now. We all working on ourselves. Okay. You know how the phrase go, nobody is perfect. But we serve a perfect God. And when we know better, we do better, you know. I just don't like how the church has addressed, you know, uh, the community, if you will. And I know I might get some backlash from some of the older school pastors and stuff like that or whatever, but that might be the reason we in this situation now because of the way it was handled.
Could be. Yeah. It's like a pendulum swing.
Yeah, this because you handled it like this, and because you handled it like this. Now this is what we dealing with. Thank you,
Yep.
thank you, appreciate it. Now it's what they say. Um, I don't wanna use that example. That's about to be a good example, but a bad example. But it's like you didn't put more you didn't put more lighter fluid on that fire.
basically.
You know what I'm saying? You didn't it wasn't handled right to the point where, man, I hear God on this. I'm hearing God on this right now in the name of Jesus. Because the church did not handle it properly, the church tried to handle it instead of allowing God to handle it.
Mm, that's
That's what
good.
happened. And because the church tried to handle it instead of allowing God to handle it, now here we are.
Here we are indeed.
Yeah.
And that's why I got this last thing.
Yes, sir.
It's one
Yes,
of
sir.
the I just want to know
Yep.
I have I know how to address this whole argument. It's a really bad argument that people make. But I just want to hear how you because I don't know if you've been hit with this before, but I
Okay.
always think it's fun to see what people have to say about it.
Yeah.
So the word the thing about the word homosexual not being added to the Bible until 1946, they say. I don't remember what I think the
Okay.
verse is when I just know the word is arsenokoitai. It's in the New Testament. It's
Okay.
the Greek word, and it it literally a combination of the words man and man. And before it was I think men who defile themselves with other men or something like that. But
And
it was
lovers, men's lovers of themselves and
yeah it was
all that stuff
but it but later, I think in 1946 in the King James, it was translated
to homosexual.
to homosexuals,
Okay.
and people will say that it's an agenda-driven thing, and that's not really what it means, and it really refers to pedophiles and all this other stuff.
Okay.
Because again, being a pedophile is still a bad thing.
Yeah.
You can always call you want to defame somebody, call them a pedophile. But anyway, no, seriously, I gotta say,
Yeah.
it's that dude's a pedophile. Somebody tried to get me with that because Simone looks so young.
Oh, wow.
It was like, "She's too young for you." I'm like, "She's literally 3 years younger than me, stop it." But, but yeah, what do you say to somebody who brings that up as a defense for saying, "This is okay"?
When you say this is okay, what do you mean? Like,
Like, basically, it's not supposed to that's not what it's supposed to mean, that this was put in by homophobic people to push an agenda.
mhm, mhm.
That's what they will say.
To push up. Well, the Bible talks about things, and then when we go back, just to the garden, when God started this thing, right?
Mhm.
He started with Adam and Eve,
Not Adam and Steve?
not Adam and Steve, not Adam and Frank, all this other stuff or whatever. Um, we follow God's will and God's plan. Right now, all these technical things about when this word was changed and when we started doing this, I just believe when it's all said and done, let's get Jesus in the equation. Okay. Once we get Jesus in the equation, we start spending time with God. Let God tell you. You know what I'm saying? Instead of all these made words and all this stuff. It's just like, for example, and I think this is a major problem, and it goes off into this, um, when it goes back to identity.
Hmm, identity.
And I think a lot of that you losing identity. Because that's what part of it was when they say I identify as a or I identify with this and blah blah blah. And I'm reminded of when Jesus said, "Who do men say that I am?" And Peter said, "Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God." And then he says unto Peter, "Flesh and blood didn't reveal that to you, but my Father which is in heaven. Thou art now, Peter." Meaning Jesus gave Peter identity. And I think, instead of getting caught up in all the words and all that stuff, I think we need to get caught up in Jesus and let Jesus reveal to you your true identity. I can't speak on them other words and all them phrases. Let's get back to Jesus and let him reveal to you your identity.
Amen. Actually, that reminds me of
Mhm.
something that I thought that it was I think it was almost 2 years ago now, but somebody had said that the reason Christians get so, they said triggered by the whole LGBT thing and pride thing
Yeah.
is because we can't stand to see people like living their truth, basically being
Mm,
their authentic selves,
mm,
and we can't be our authentic selves because basically we're trapped in this box
yeah,
of rules and things
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
And I had told them, and I'll tell everybody listening to this now, you don't you have no idea who you what your real identity is. You think this is your true identity. But and you think that like we're jealous, right?
mhm,
But I gotta make a video game analogy. This is the same one I gave. But you'll get this one.
mhm,
Cheating. You play games online, you come across people who cheat.
okay,
They have programs that they use to like hack the game and stuff like that.
mm,
So they'll cheat and they'll win and you get mad. And I feel like that's like somebody who's they're cheating in the game.
mhm,
And my thing is like, if you're gonna cheat, why do you even play? Like, how
right.
was it fun? Like, it's like, yeah, you won, but you cheated.
Cheated,
So
right, right,
how was that even fun for you? But I had a revelation that it's because um for them, it's not about the challenge. It's not about getting better. It's just about winning. It's about the
mm,
dopamine hit that comes
mm,
from winning. So if I
yeah,
have to cheat to get that dopamine hit to win, then that's what I am because I am a winner.
mm,
And the thing is, you would say, "Oh, you're just jealous of me because I'm winning and you're losing."
mm,
And I'm like, "I'm not jealous of you because I'm restricted to the rules of the game unlike you,
yeah,
but that's what makes the game the game. That's
yeah,
what makes it fun."
yeah,
And I know how good I am. I know what my skill level is. You don't know how good or bad you are because you're cheating.
right,
And that's how I feel. It's like you're saying, "This is who I really am. This is me living my authentic life." And I'm like, "This isn't you living your authentic life."
right,
It's like you are sitting and you're watching so you're watching reality shows all the time.
mhm,
And you're always gossiping, you always wanna fight with somebody because that's you don't even realize that this media that you're consuming is putting that into your head, and you're
mhm,
like, "Oh,
mhm,
this is my real true authentic self."
mhm,
You think that,
right,
but it's really
right,
not.
right,
You don't know who you really are
right,
until you strip all of that outside stuff away,
yeah,
and you are left with the person you were really created as.
yeah,
It's like, I don't know for example, I have a thing about, oh, this is actually a good one. I gained a bunch of weight when Simone was pregnant with Harper, and I kinda never lost it. I
mhm,
just gained more,
mhm,
but I recently just decided, I don't like how I look, I'm gonna lose some weight. And so, started working out, and I started restricting my calories.
okay,
And when I went back, like, I had a thing going on with my gut, so I kinda went back on my diet a little bit. Well, I got that checked out, and I was still counting my calories, but I wasn't, like, restricting them like I was. But even when my calories weren't restricted, I looked at how much I was eating, and I was like, "How in the world did I ever eat enough calories to gain that much weight?
mhm,
I can't do it if I try now.
mhm,
To maintain the amount of weight I have to eat, like, 2,100 calories a day to maintain my weight." Like, I struggle to get to 2,000. I'm like,
okay,
"How the heck was I eating 2,500, 2,800 calories in a day? How was I doing that?" I don't know how I was doing that,
you gotta get back,
but I never would have thought.
you drifting.
No, 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 no. No,
I almost lost you
I'm
almost
going
lost
somewhere with
me,
this.
okay, you almost lost me, go ahead,
Because my thing is,
okay,
if I hadn't started restricting my diet, if I haven't started, like, really taking a look at this and putting myself, quote, unquote, "in that box," I never would have realized that I'm not actually eating the normal amount for a person for me to eat. It's not who I am. That's not what
okay,
I'm supposed to be doing.
okay,
I was
okay,
overindulging without knowing it because I never put the restrictions on myself.
mhm,
And it's the same thing morally. You're saying, "This is who I am. This is my real authentic self." No, this is who you are when you're not controlled. When you're out of control and being controlled by your appetite.
so now, let me ask you a question, you said 'cause that was good right there, you said they're being controlled by their appetites, but could that be the problem is that they grew up in a controlled environment,
It
and
could
they're rebelling from that form of control?
it could be.
You gotta dress like this. Watch this. Dress like this because you a girl. Watch this. Boys don't cry. Think about the things that was said to us where, for example, growing up as a boy, it was like, "We ain't supposed to be emotional. You
Mhm,
fall off your bike, quit crying, be a man." I'm 7. That that hurted.
mhm.
I flipped over my bike 3 times, and I'm not supposed to cry. The bike landed on me. I'm hurt. Quit crying. Take it like a man.
But that's actually part of the set. But that's actually part of the problem because again, you're saying like this is who I really am once I'm not in that controlled environment anymore.
Yeah.
But you're still being controlled by that environment. You're just going in the opposite direction.
But see, here's the thing though. This is a whole nother can of worms. The environment says, watch this. Okay. A man works on cars. Well, okay. Well, I don't work on cars. I hated working on cars. To this day, I don't like working on cars. So what that mean? I'm not a man? Okay. Okay. Watch this now. Because I'm thinking of some people I know of that's a part of the community, certain things. They just wasn't them. But the controlled environment said this is what a man does.
Oh yeah.
You see where I'm going with this?
I know what you mean. Yeah.
A man does this. So if I don't do this, evidently
I'm not a man.
I'm not a man. But I do feel more comfortable doing this, and I see the girls doing this.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I do feel more comfortable, you know. I don't want to say that, whatever. But I was gonna say like doing hair,
Mhm.
okay. But
I mean, even something as simple as, and going back to the video games again, even to this day, as a 30-year-old man, I still like I play a lot of fighting games. I
yeah,
still prefer to play with female characters.
okay. See,
Somebody would have looked at that and been like, "Why are you always playing with girls?"
so watch this. Watch. I'm gonna tell you what was told to me by my cousin. Okay, I'm that romantic guy.
Mhm.
Okay, that's me. I'm people may say, "Well, that ain't romantic." Well, to me, it is. Dinner, movies, whatever. I'm sending roses to your job. I'm that dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm sending you a word in the morning. Giving you scriptures or whatever, so you can
Uh-huh.
start your day off and all that stuff or whatever. And one of my cousins said to me, "You gay?"
Oh, yeah. I was just about to say.
That's what he told
I
me.
was just about to say, like, fellas,
He said, "You gay?"
I was like, fellas, is it gay to love a woman?
I said, "All that stuff you do, you gay." I'm like, "What? I ain't gay." He said, "That's gay." That's what he said because no, men don't do all that stuff. But for me, he's like, "See, you that bro, you like all that romance, candy, and all that." And he was saying it like it was a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? And so, a lot of times, for some people, because of that controlled environment in the system, okay, well, if you're saying this is a man and that's not me, then evidently I'm not a man. I feel more comfortable doing this. Matter of fact, I like doing this. Okay, I don't like You know, it didn't feel good when I was changing the tire and I hit my knuckle on the ground. That didn't feel good. You know what I'm saying? It
Mhm.
didn't feel good getting scratched up and all that stuff, trying to do these brakes. This is what a man does. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is what a man does. And it's like, what? And so for some people, they went in another direction. You know, the young lady, okay, she want to wear jeans.
Yeah.
I want to play basketball.
I mean, there was a time when that just made you a tomboy, but
I was
now
just
it
a tomboy, but
yeah.
now, you know what I'm saying? Oh, she play basketball. Oh, she a stud. What? Why
Uh-huh.
she can't just like basketball? You ain't you girls don't do that. And it was like this controlled environment. And I'm not saying it's the reason or excuse, but I'm saying there were certain things that did not help.
I mean, but that kinda goes back to what you said earlier
Mhm.
that you about even if you like, say you would say, like, "I was born like this," and I think it's a combination of nature and nurture, you know? But that's what being born again is about.
Sure,
It's like because
sure.
we were all shaped by our environments.
We all got an issue.
We were all shaped by our environments, but
Yes.
that's kinda what I was getting with the control. It's like once you strip all that away And I mean, in both directions, like you said, you get your identity. You find your identity in Christ,
There you go.
and that's where you start.
There you go.
And you know yourself. It's like I like C.S. Lewis said, I got to do the video game references, and I got to do
Yeah, just see
C.S.
it.
Lewis. He said, if you look for Christ, like if you look, I don't know the exact quote because it's long, but he's like, if you look for yourself, you're only gonna find rage, ruin, decay, a whole bunch of other bad things. But if you look for Christ, you will find him, and
Yeah.
with him, everything else thrown in. You will find, like, you will know your true self
Yeah.
if you find your, I mean, you were made in the image of God.
Mhm.
So you have to go to God to know what your image is supposed to look like.
Yeah.
Or else you're just going to be a combination of all of this mess from your environment. And that's where I think, just to like land the plane, that's where I think how, like you said, you need a strategy for addressing this thing. That is how you do it. It's
No.
like, because it is an identity thing.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you, because first of all, let's just say it like this. Well, I'm gonna say it like this. Identifying as your sexuality is weird. I don't I
Gotcha.
don't come up to be
Gotcha.
like,
Gotcha.
"Hey, my name's Marcel, I'm a straight man." It's like, "Okay." Like, I love women.
Right.
Women,
One,
women,
one,
women.
one.
Yeah. It's like, who if I did that, that would be so weird.
Yeah.
And but it's like, but that's how you identify, honestly. And this is kind of a tangent, but I think it's the same way. Oh, you want to talk about getting in trouble? Think it's the same way with race. To be honest, yes, I'm a black man. You can see that if you look at me.
Yeah.
But when I'm leading with my skin color, it is kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
Now don't get me wrong. I love being black. And I think it's a part of it.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll get this book done soon on the black church. But um I think the reason people do that is because, we are looking for identity. And when you look for an
Yeah.
identity outside of God, you're just going to point to these admittedly superficial things about yourself. And that's why, like, you see the sign that says, I saw a sign that said celebrate pride. And I thought about that because, first of all, as a Christian, seeing the words celebrate pride is just hilarious. That's like celebrate lust, celebrate wrath, celebrate gluttony.
Right.
But
Right.
but even like what it's supposed to mean, like
Right.
pride is supposed to represent, you know, being proud of who you are, accepting yourself.
Mhm.
But think about it. You say celebrate pride. Why do I need to celebrate you being proud of who you are?
Mhm.
What the heck does that have to do with me? And why am
Well,
I wrong for not celebrating?
but we have to be careful with that because other races can say that about February.
Okay, here's the difference.
They
No, no,
can
no.
say that.
I was gonna say,
They can say that. They can say, "Why am I celebrating Black history?" You
but
know what I'm saying?
but
Like,
they
I'm
may
not
not.
black.
Okay, but here's the thing.
Yeah.
There's a difference between history. Like if you say, okay, it's Gay History Month, that would be like, okay, there would still be some differences there because it's one thing, like, oh, look at all these things Black people accomplished that were hidden. The difference between that would be like if you did like a Gay History Month, it would be like, oh, look at all these things these people accomplished. Oh, and they happen to be gay. But
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing on that. Like, I'm probably gonna get in trouble for saying this, but aren't we the only two groups that got months?
no,
Who else got a month?
there's like a Jewish Heritage Month. There's like a Latino.
Month.
I
One
don't know what
month.
month it is. I'm not
But
Jewish,
I'm
but
just,
there is one.
but I'm just saying, it's like if there is one, it's not as popular as February and June.
It's not, but I still think there's a difference between like you and I think there might be there might be a point in that, to be honest,
Yeah.
because I was thinking about this and I said I was going to land the plane, but this is really because I have to make the point.
Go ahead. You good?
Even if I got to cut this down, I
Go
got to
ahead.
make this point.
Yep.
The thing about pride, I have found, whether it's racial pride or whatever, pride unchecked. This is why pride is a sin. Pride, if it goes unchecked, leads to supremacy.
Ooh.
And I thought about this because, like you
Wait,
say,
wait, wait. So do you? Okay, that's a whole nother conversation. I'm about to say, do you have something to? 'Cause I want you to really expound on that because that was real deep and powerful. Say it again.
like pride, if it's unchecked, it leads to supremacy.
Expound on that. That's a
Okay.
whole nother thing right
Well,
there.
I'll use like we were just talking about the gay and black thing.
Yeah.
Think about it. The the black pride. It started with, okay, we were made to feel like we were less than human.
Okay.
You were discriminated against.
Sure.
So Black pride went to no, it's okay to be Black. It's good to be Black. We are great. We are good. We are powerful.
Mhm.
That's good. But what ends up happening is as it goes on, it goes from it's great to be Black to it's better to be Black than it is to be something else to now people of other races are devil. It goes
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
we're
Went
all
too far.
good.
Yeah,
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 to
yeah,
other
yeah.
people are
I
devil. So
got you
now
now.
you
I
go
got you.
from
Yes.
be
Yeah.
Black pride
Yep.
to Black supremacist.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think it's gone in the same direction
Mhm.
with the LGBT stuff. It used to go to, we don't even have to go there yet. Think about the women's movement. It
Okay.
used to be,
Okay.
we
Okay.
want to be equal. We want to be equal to men. We want them to beating us up. We want to be able to work. You know, reasonable. That sounds reasonable to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody likes being punched in the face because dinner wasn't ready on time.
What?
That
Okay.
makes sense to me. But
Alrighty.
then it goes to like it's Men's Mental Health Awareness Month right now. You have any idea how many women are online saying, I don't care about men? Not enough men killed themselves, stuff like that.
But why is it men's mental health and pride in this month was Father's Day?
I don't know. They just
You know what I'm saying? Like, what? It's a whole nother
yeah, I don't
conversation.
know. But
To,
my point is
yeah, go
it's
ahead.
like it's gone from we want to be treated equally to screw you guys, you all should die. A
Yeah,
couple of years
too
ago,
far.
the hashtag kill all men was literally trending on Twitter. No, not joking. It really was. But there you go. And so but we
Whoa.
take it now to the LGBT stuff. It went from we just want to live our lives, leave us alone to if you don't call me by the pronouns I want you to call me, you will lose your job. You have to you have to do what I say. You have to accept this. If your church is not an affirming church, it is hateful and should be shut down. That type of thing. So it always goes. You start off with pride. And I think the reason pride eventually leads to supremacy, and this is why I said if it's not checked, because that's not always the case.
Yeah, I got
Um, because I heard someone talking about pride, and he was like, "How pride is a sin," and somebody said, "Oh, so you can't be proud of your kids," which is
you.
the kind of dumb thing you always hear on the internet. But
Mm,
there's a difference between me being like having pride in someone else. Like,
mm,
of course, I'm proud of,
sure.
but pride in someone else is, you know, I love seeing you succeed. Pride in myself is I am great because again, it's good to want equality. But it's better to say the reason I want equality isn't because I'm so wonderful and I deserve it, but more we are all made in the image of God. If you
Gotcha.
start with that,
Yeah.
then there's no room for supremacy.
Okay.
But if you're celebrating something that God does not approve of, you can't really it's hard to start there. Because if you're gonna go with if you're gonna be doing the will of the Father, it's gonna lead you away from that, and that's why what they call themselves, like the ex-gay people, that's why they get so much hate.
Mm.
When I say they get so much hate, they get so much hate because they're showing that it's the same thing with the detransitioners, people who were like transgender
Oh, okay.
and they
Okay.
go back, they get unbelievable amounts of hate just because they show that it's possible.
Mm.
They show that it's possible that even if you were they take away the excuse basically.
Mhm. Mhm.
But that's it. That's all I needed to say about that. I think that was yeah, I think that was all. So, long story short, I do think the best way to address it is to start with being made in the image of God.
Sure.
Start trying to do, and that's what I tell people who struggle with it. Like, start trying to do the will of the Father. Like, even if you are struggling with like your faith.
Yeah.
Are you trying to live it out? Are you
Wow.
trying your hardest to live it out? If
Yeah.
you do, you will find that it's difficult, but it's rewarding. So that's it. I don't know. Anything else to say before I cut this off?
I think we need to stop rating sins. Like I said earlier, this a 5, this a 7, this a 1. When I say that, put
I
more
mean, like,
we put more emphasis on certain sins compared to the other, you know. Um, and I know the previous generation, they did certain things and stuff like that. But I just believe when we know better, we gotta do better.
Mhm.
And I think that's the key.
I agree.
Yeah.
I admit this actually went in a direction that I didn't expect it to go in, but I like it.
Good,
I like
good.
it. But okay.
All right, we growing, we growing. And we growing for the kingdom.
Okay.